All right, welcome to the Sae Bae cast number 262 with Raikesy. Raikesy, how are we doing this morning or afternoon for you?
Yeah, not too bad. It's really nice to be doing this at like actual midday instead of super late for me, which is what I'm used to. So thank you very much for having me on, man.
Yeah, my pleasure. It works out great for me. This is just a great excuse to wake up early and I don't know, just get like that nice morning stretch in, you know what I mean? Where you just feel like you have the whole day ahead of you. It's a great feeling. So this is it's a
100%.
phenomenal time.
So do you normally not get up at this time, by the way? Is this like really early for you?
I
Or
actually do. It's kind of weird because I feel like I can get into a nap trap where I'll just take like a midday nap and then it kind of throws some other things off. But generally speaking, I will usually wake up quite early around like 7 a.m. Uh, but I can fall into traps where I start waking up at like 9:30 a.m., which is probably the latest I usually wake up. I'm not like a super DJ. I have lived the degenerate life and it was phenomenal when I was younger. But like I mean seriously, like my schedule at one point was wake up at 10:30 p.m. Like that was, and then I would just stay up until 4 p.m. like the following day or like 3 p.m. and then sleep. It was just so fucked. And it would just
it's hilarious
slowly, yeah, it would
to
like
hear you
slowly
saying
cycle
10:30
though.
is late.
Oh,
Like,
sorry, what were you saying?
to hear you say 10:30 is like DGen getting up, like, oh my God. I used to wake up at like 1 o'clock in the
No, no,
afternoon
no, no, no,
for
no, no,
years.
no, no, no. You didn't hear me correctly. 10:30 p.m. I'd wake up.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it was
Oh man.
it was so bad. Like, and then I would start my stream. Like, I'm talking like 6 years ago. I would literally wake up at 10:30, and then by midnight I would start my stream. It was horrible.
That's mental. So you'd
Yeah.
wake up and it'd be like pitch black outside.
Yeah, that was,
Oh my
and
God.
like it was like those gaming hours. And if anybody listening has experienced those like true degen hours, when you're younger, it's actually one of the best feelings because nobody's gonna bother you, everyone's asleep, and you
Mm.
just get to game in peace, and it was just great.
Yeah, there's an actual term for that. I think it's called like escapism or something, where a lot of people try to like escape their lives, and they do that by staying up really late because then they get
Mm.
that time to themselves, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I think long term, especially the older you get, it's unhealthy. I mean, humans, I feel like that circadian rhythm truly is just a it's essential for humans. I used to work 3 12s just over the weekend, and it was at like a Target distribution center. I don't know if you have Targets over there. I'm assuming you do. I think.
No,
Oh, you
we
don't?
we
Okay.
don't we don't have targets, but I do know what it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I used to work at like a distribution center. It's fucking massive, and I was young, but I decided to work the overnight shifts, and you get paid a little bit more. But holy fuck, dude, I would try to revert for my 4 days off every week. I tried to kind of revert back into like a daytime schedule, kind of, and it just made me
Mm.
feel sick, like long term. Like after like 2 months of it, I
Yeah.
was like, oh my god, I feel just awful because I kept like flip
Yeah.
flopping.
That's kind of like it's a bit like jet lag, man. You should have probably just stuck to the degen sleeping pattern and just embraced it. Like,
It's hard. It's hard because like I'm trying to because I was living at my parents at the time and I was trying to sleep and like there was noise, there was cars, there was people talking, and it's like, all right, I'll just
yeah.
get up, I guess, because everyone else is up, and it's hard. Yeah, you have to really stick to it if you want to, which is tough.
Yeah, it's a strange thing. Like when I used to be employed, that was a long time ago. I used to do shift work. So every week would be different. It'd be mornings one week, afternoons, and then nights. So it'd be 3 weeks and it would constantly be rotating. So do a week on each. And you just like you'd never feel normal, you know?
Ugh.
Like it was just one of those. Your body clock was just constantly messed up. But the funny thing is like I don't know what it is with us content creators, but we all seem to go through having really messed up sleeping patterns for some reason. We're just attracted to the night, and it doesn't matter if I'm living in the United Kingdom, if I'm living in bloody California. I always end up staying up till like 6 a.m. Like it's just I don't know. It's just one of those things.
Yeah, no, it's almost initiation for gamers. Like you got to experience that. it's essential to be young and to kind of just experiment and just, live that
Yeah.
super degen life. How long has it been now since you've been unemployed?
Unemployed.
I'm with you though, brother. Like, I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
it's been about like almost 7 years for me, and I'm just. But
Oh, dude, it's the
I will
best.
still get those glimmers though of having to go to work, and I didn't ever have like a fun job. It was always like I worked at a metal
Yeah.
factory, I worked at a Dollar Tree, I worked at a Target distribution center. Like, just they don't
Yeah.
treat you great.
Yeah, it's the same for me, man. I was always working in like factories, and stuff like that. And like we have Tesco over here, which is kind of like Target. So,
Mm.
yeah, I worked there for a while. I think it's been over 9 years now, almost 10 years, like of doing the content creation side of things. Yeah, like 9 or 10 years now, which is insane. Um, but yeah, I think the problem with those jobs is that you're just so replaceable. There's like a
Yep.
lack of respect almost, where it's like, if you've got a bad attitude or you're having a bad day, it's like people can very easily just be like, well, just leave then. We'll replace you by the afternoon kind of thing. It's like, okay.
Yeah. It's very, yeah, it's crappy. I mean, but I don't know. I wanted to sort of ask how you've seen the evolution of being a content creator over the last 10 years, because I feel like it can get somewhat easy to sort of take it for granted or to not see how like privileged of a position it is to just be able to make content.
Yeah.
But then
Oh,
again, it's like
absolutely.
sometimes it can like you forget about the sort of negative side of it, of like isolation and all these like first world
Mm,
problems of like not getting outside enough and not
yeah.
socializing and stuff. So how's it been for you?
So when I first started doing content creation, I remember it so vividly because I went from working, I was a delivery driver. I delivered for Tesco's. So, delivering people's groceries effectively. And it was a very social job. I was meeting 20 to 30 complete strangers every day, going into their houses and like helping them unload their shopping. So I had a very social job. And then, but the thing is, like, I also hated it at the same time because it was like, oh, I'm not earning enough money, and like I wanted to be able to afford a house, and just stuff in your 20s, right? And to go from that to content creation, where I effectively went from making minimum wage to then also just matching that but doing it from YouTube. I was just like, oh my god, this is amazing. Like, I've got nobody telling me what to do. I can sit at my computer, play RuneScape all day, the game I love, and make the same as I would working full-time hours somewhere that I don't like being. So I remember it so vividly because like the first year was just like upload a new video every 3 days, just like crazy, like doing insane hours. And then I remember like after about a year, I was like, man, it's kind of lonely. Like, I don't, I don't like. I'm kind of working all the time. I don't get to meet. I don't have colleagues. I don't have a boss. So there are definite like pros and cons to it. But I think that after about a year of doing it, I was like, man, I need to get some sort of a social life, or like, I need to figure this out and like just start talking to people. And it's one of those challenges. But yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. I always remind myself whenever I'm having like a bad time or I'm doing like a bad grind in game. Like at the moment, for example, I'm like hard stuck for some reason, getting an Infernal Cape on my hardcore Ironman. It's been a nightmare. I'm like a week into it, and I am just like, oh, like I keep dying in the dumbest ways on Zuck. I've got there like 7 times now. I failed to DPS check Jad. This is a budget run, by the way, so I'm using
Mm.
like a rune crossbow and just garbage
Oh,
gear.
jeez.
But
Yeah.
it's awesome. Like, don't get me wrong, I love it. The adrenaline's great, but at the same time, it's like I always remind myself if I'm not enjoying something, I'm just like, well, it could be worse. Like I could be working back in a factory or doing something like that I didn't enjoy.
Yep.
So I really do try not to take things for granted. I'm very appreciative of the position that I'm in. I truly am, and I do love it. But with any kind of job or any activity, there's always like mundane stuff, right? It's one of
Yeah.
those.
Totally. I was looking back at the OSRS podcasts on YouTube because I was trying to remember how long it's been now. It's been over 8 years since you guys started that podcast. You, Mint Mad Cow, and Rice Cup.
So what happened was Mint Mad Cow. This was like a long time ago. So like creation has changed a lot in the last like 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
But Mint Mad Cow just uploaded almost like a ramble video, and it was just him on his own, just talking about things in the game. And I remember watching it, and I was like, "Wow, this is thought provoking." I was like, "I'd love to be involved in this conversation." So I messaged him and was like, "Hey, like I'd love to come on and just chat some shit." And it kind of just went from there. I think like I went on there for one episode, we had a good time, and then Rice Cup wanted to come on because we were just people that wanted to like discuss ideas for RuneScape, almost like the early days of like RuneScape politics, I guess. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's like things are changing in the game. It's like let's talk about it. And then just all three of us were just like, okay, well, we've got a podcast now, I guess. We're just gonna meet up every week and get guests on, and it just kind of naturally kind of evolved, I guess. It's funny because we've obviously like slowed down quite a lot with the podcast now, but the thing is like we've never done it for any other reason than just to have like conversations. Like the fact you just said we've done it for 8 years is crazy because in those 8 years, we have never made a cent off of the podcast. Like, this is going to sound crazy and we need to sort it out, but effectively, like, there's money sat in that Google AdSense account, but we've just never taken it. It's just built up
Really?
for 8 years,
Oh
which is
my God.
insane, right? It's just there. And oh my God, behind the scenes, you know, it's just a nightmare because I'm from the UK, Mint and Ree are both from America, and there's like tax complications, and like and none of us really want to take it, but at the same time, it's mad that it's just sat there and we've not touched it. Like nothing. We've not withdrawn a penny from it.
Bruh, that is goofy. Like, oh
Yeah,
my God.
I
And
know. It's bad.
did you, because I know it was mostly on YouTube, but you guys did kind of make a transition over to like other podcasting platforms. I don't know how well that was kept up. Was that
Yeah.
generating anything? Because I know it's a little bit different when you kind of try to move a show over somewhere and the audience is way smaller at first, and you know the
Yeah.
marketplace of ads is a little bit more complicated.
So what it was Spotify. We did move over onto Spotify. Um and I don't really remember what happened with it, to be honest with you. We uploaded a few episodes, and then I think it's just a case of where we've not really been doing it for any other reason than just to have a chat and like talk about RuneScape stuff. We just kind of like lost interest, I guess, and like the
Mm,
podcast kind of slowed down naturally over time. It's like I said, like we're just doing it for fun. So it just kind of got to a point where I was like, this is more effort. And at the moment, we're all kind of working on our own things. So
yeah.
maybe it's best we just stick to what we're doing. But yeah, I think we might have like a few episodes on Spotify, and then honestly, I think that we've probably just forgotten the information for the account. If I'm
I think
totally
yeah,
honest.
I think that did happen because I was looking at it, I was like, huh, it's not being automatically uploaded, so I'm assuming it's just yeah, kind of like lack of
Yeah.
coordination sort of, or just kind of busy doing your own things.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's always just been like a fun little thing we've done on the
Yeah.
side, and we've never really taken it like majorly seriously. So it's just one of those things. Like we just do them now. Like
Hmm.
whenever there's something that we want to discuss. I think at the moment we're on like we'll do one every month kind of scenario, whereas we used to be like we'll do one every week, you know. But we
Yeah.
got lives, we got things we need to do, so it's just kind of fallen to the wayside at the moment.
I'm just impressed it was still, I mean, I'm looking at the old episodes. It was just, you know, like you said, just you and Mint Mad Cow at first. And then Rice got very quickly joined as like a permanent host. But it's crazy to think that 8 years and it is still the same host. I mean, it just feels like it's so easy to either have one of the guys like not be into content creation anymore or just kind of give up or maybe a falling out. So, I mean, that's impressive.
Yeah, I Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate that. It kind of is actually, isn't it? Because yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. Most like for all of us to still be doing content creation 8 years later is kind of crazy. But I think the thing is like we always all three of us have like varying opinions on stuff. We all do different stuff in the game. And, you know, personally, like I enjoy having a conversation where maybe I don't agree with everything someone's saying, so then I can learn something from like their perspective. So it's always been like quite an engaging conversation, I feel like, because like I love both of them. I've known them both for years now. But it's like we're not always on the same page with stuff, so it's always fun trying to like, get on the same page, understand where people are coming from, and I don't know. Yeah, that's really interesting actually to think of that. And the fact we're still doing this, all content creators 8 years later, is just baffling. It's just old school RuneScape though. It's a lifestyle, isn't it?
Yep. Okay, I want to talk about your sort of personal content creation journey a little bit, like the actual content side. So,
Okay.
I'm looking. I have your channel pulled up, and 10 years ago, OSRS RuneScape Raikesy Conquest to 126 episode 1. What a
Yeah.
fucking gamer title. Like that's some classic shit.
Yeah.
And dude, you know what I fucking love is that sort of what was it, OS Buddies text font, because I'm seeing like down here the Berserker Ring and the Tanzanite Fang in purple. Dude, that is classic font. Like I see that, I'm like, holy shit.
Oh my god, OS Buddy. My god, I almost forgot about that. I just
Yeah.
used it for years because I'm pretty sure the owners gave me like a code or something where they were like,
Yep.
you get the premium version of it, and I was like, sweet. And then, like a year in, everyone was like, move over to Runelight. It's free and it's the same thing. And I was just like, well, I don't really want to move. I was just like, I'll stay here for now.
Dude, this is crazy. I'm looking at some of these thumbnails, and one of them is you with Barrow's gear, like wearing Verax, and there's a Ceridome hilt on the ground. I'm like, holy, like how times have changed. You know what I mean? Like people used to rock up to God Wars with Barrows. Like that was the shit. That was the good stuff. If you had like a teammate.
Yeah, that was the old Verac duo strat. Did you ever do that with like a Zami God sword?
I remember seeing it, yeah, but I never actually did it myself. But yeah, I remember that was a very common thing. Just roll up with a duo partner or even a trio and just fuck around.
Yeah. No, times have changed a lot. Like back when I used to make these videos, I don't know, like 10 years ago, content creation was so different as well. And at this point, I was just there is a proper word for it in terms of content creation. I can't remember what it is. I remember Josh Strife Hayes said it. I think he called it like the machine gun or Tommy gun method. I just say throwing shit at a wall and seeing what sticks,
Yep.
right? So like just starting off as a content creator, uploading random videos, like we did like 1 hour challenges, maxing an account, podcast, 1 hour live commentary and stuff like that, just to sort of see what would work. At the beginning, it's just about getting content out there and then looking back on it and being like, okay, what did people actually watch? What did they enjoy? And then for me, I was like, okay, people always seem to like the making money from nothing, you know? So I was like, that's probably something I should lean into a little bit and see, because people obviously are interested in that subject matter. So like, let me see how far I can take that. So when I first started doing content creation like full time, as in like I quit my job. This was all I was doing. That was the very first thing I did, was a series called Making 100 Mil in 24 Hours from Nothing. And that was 9 years ago, back when 100 mil was a lot, like back then, that was kind of a big deal. And to do that in 24 hours without gambling, because obviously we had the Dude Arena, was kind of unheard of. Like you'd have a friend that could make a lot of money in like a weekend and stuff, but to do it from scratch just seemed to be like a really popular video of mine. And then from there, I just kind of evolved it into like, making a bill, on an account. Like one of my really early series was just making one bill, starting with nothing. And it's funny to look back on because now that's not very much. Like there's so many people that do that. People make like a bill in a week and things like that. But back then, it was one of those where it was like, oh my god, is he actually gonna do it? And even
Yeah.
I didn't know. I was like, I'm gonna try. I'll see if I can do it, guys. I'm not sure if I'm gonna reach the goal or not, but I just kind of sent it, and yeah, it all worked out.
Damn. Yeah. I mean, one of the things we were kind of talking about in our call before I started the recording was the evolution of this game and how over the last, it's almost been 13 years in a couple months, or February of 2026. It'll have been 13 years since this game has been out, which is just wild. 13 years. But what have you, I guess, noticed about like stark differences from the beginning of old school until now? Maybe some things that are maybe less talked about. Like, is there anything that comes to your mind of like how different the game really used to be? Because you started on release, right?
Yeah, so I played like the old RuneScape as well. Like I
Hmm.
started playing in like the early 2000s and I played like all the way up until Evolution of Combat and RuneScape 3. Um Stark differences. I think that probably one of the bigger things that has changed is that I feel like there's now different old school RuneScape content creators, and what I mean by that is that there's people who like make videos playing the game, and then there are people that just make videos about the game. So, you know, what would be an example of this? Like take Boaty for example. My guy's been making, sort of playthroughs of the game for like probably 20 years or coming up to it now. And then there's also channels that will talk about, the history of like I think there's a guy called, how do you say it? I think it's Colonello.
Yep.
I'm probably butchering it. And he makes videos talking about like historical events in the game. And I find that so interesting how like there is interest in watching people's progression and like their journeys, but there's like a massive interest in people just talking about the game. And both of them seemingly do quite well, you know?
Yep.
I'll tell you something that hasn't changed in like 20 years of old school RuneScape and just content creation on the game as a whole. There is always this always makes me laugh because I remember watching back in the day. Were you around for like Spark Mac Live, Chris Archie prods? Were you about in the community at that time?
I was sort of in the later part of that because I started September of 2015, but I got the
Okay.
sort of not the early days of it, because when I go back and watch those really old clips of like release of old school with them, that was something special. So I did miss the first
Yeah.
couple of years of it.
So the thing is, like, people back then, like we're talking, God, 15 years ago, there's always been people that have been like, the game's dying. It's like imagine having a career based upon RuneScape. The game's gonna die in next month. And it's just so funny because I still see those people to this day. And it's just mental how like people have been saying the same thing for like 15 years. The game's gonna die. People are quitting. So and it's just like they're still saying it, but the
The
game's still
numbers are
going
bigger
strong.
than ever. Yeah, it's not even like
Yeah,
we're just coasting. It's like we're actually getting record numbers. Dude, the same thing
yeah.
is said about sailing. I get so many comments like, dude, once sailing drops, it's over. Like this game is dead. Like it's dying. Like it's just so over. It was, dude,
Yeah.
I get those doomer comments about so many things. Like even like a new mini game that's coming out. It's like they see a new skilling mini game and they're like, RuneScape's dead. Like it's dead now because they've gone away from their original philosophy of just like, I don't know, more
Yeah.
classic grinding. And I'm like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? Like the game, just use better terminology. The game's not dead. You can just not like an update. That's fine.
The game's growing, if anything. Like
It
I feel
is.
like these updates and the changes and stuff are just like a natural progression to the game. I totally get it. I've played the game for a long time. I played through, Jagex, the old servers where they just wouldn't listen to anything, and they were like, "No, we're making RuneScape free a thing." They didn't listen to anybody. I've been on both ends where, like, when old school RuneScape first came out, I'm not gonna lie, man, it took me years to regain my trust from Jagex. Took a very long time
Mm.
because I lived through them destroying the childhood game that we all loved. And then, they're like, okay, we're gonna do like a polling system and all of this, and I'm like, I don't know if I trust you guys, but we'll see how this goes. And like, yeah, they've delivered good content time and time again. And I think people try to like draw parallels between like, oh, there's a new skill, therefore the game's gonna turn into like EOC and things like that. But I don't know, man. I think it's very difficult to like draw that comparison because we're talking about a company that has a completely different like outlook on how they put things into the game nowadays to how they used to. Because the way they used to do it is very much like how Blizzard put stuff into World of Warcraft today, which is like, this is good for you. You just don't know it. Like, the meme of like, do you guys not have phones when they were doing the Diablo free release and stuff like that, or
Mm.
Diablo 4. And it's like that's what Jagex used to be like. And I don't know, like I've got full confidence in them. I think they've just delivered like great content over the years. I'm the same as everyone else. I logged in the other day, and do you know how they've added the sailing icon to the skills menu now?
Yep.
Like my gut reaction of seeing that was like, I don't like that. I was like, it's weird, it's different. Like I'm also autistic. I don't like that, but I was like, I'll get used to it.
Yep.
It just takes some getting used to, is all.
It's funny because oh wait, actually, have they changed it kind of? There was some discrepancy on Reddit talking about this sort of spacing of the symbols. It looks like they actually sort of
Oh
have
my.
fixed it. But dude, they need to raise the total level text at the bottom of the skills menu just up a singular pixel. Like just go up a singular. It's just bothering me. It's like the OCD in me. But you know what?
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember this. This is the autism in me, by the way, speaking. I remember when the skills menu before sailing, this is, years back, like 6 or so years ago, it used to be quite squished, like sort of condensed in a nice way. And there was a decent amount of spacing at the bottom, like kind of where that total level is. That was sort of like a gray box just down there. And then they had an update where they decided to sort of just space everything out by a couple pixels. And dude, it was like the biggest fucking eyesore of all time for me. Like genuinely, like it was honestly kind of nauseating, like looking down my skills because I was so used to like a more tight spacing. So all that said, and I recognize those things. It's really like sort of tilting. I kind of wish I wasn't that way. It's like some OCD in me or something. But now that they've squished it again and added that little bar down there, there's something like quite calming about it. Like I kind of like it, and I do like the sailing skill icon. I think it actually looks quite good. I was thinking maybe a boat would look cooler, but I think the anchor just goes hard.
Yeah. No, I agree. I How did you feel, by the way, when they polled the free skills, sailing, tamanism, and shamanism? What were you for? What was the skill you were after?
So it's funny because I think I was originally for taming until I heard their pitch, which was what the most like watered down, just gray. They were so scared. So I'll try to preface it sort of. Yeah. So there was the shamanism was speaking to like the higher level players. They want new equipment and stuff. Sailing was obviously another popular choice that ended up winning because it's just, like there's so much content to it. And then taming spoke to me a little bit more after a little bit of thought because I never experienced summoning. So I didn't know the downsides of summoning. I just thought it would be really cool to have like little creatures that can follow you and they can level up and stuff. It's like Inception of leveling up, I love that concept. But then when I heard their Q&A talking about taming, the whole thing was so scared of doing anything like summoning. And so it would just looked pathetic. Like the pitch was so bad. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'm definitely not for taming anymore. And so then I switched to sailing.
Yeah, I feel like they almost just threw that in there to like have an extra option.
They did, dude.
You know?
It was bad.
Yeah, see the thing for me, I was always team sailing, always, and I'm not a massive skiller. For me, like skilling is like an ends to a means. It's like I skill so I can do other things that I want to do, and I've kind of just always been like that. But the thing with sailing is that the scope of it is so large, and it could be something so huge that it could be a skill unlike anything that we have or have ever had. And like for that reason, that's why it appeals to me because I don't know. I just feel like as a non-skiller with shamanism just sounded like runecrafting to me with just like a few extra steps and different components to it personally. I'm sure it would have been more than that, but it definitely just had that sort of when they were going over it, it sounded like the repetitive, going to X or Y location, doing this activity, banking and so forth. Whereas like sailing's just a bit more out there, isn't it? It's like there's so much that this would do. It also unlocks new areas in the game, and like we've never explored the map before, like we're going to be able to. So I don't know. I'm really looking forward to it. I don't honestly know if I'll enjoy it. Like I said, I'm not a big skiller, but I'm hoping I do. I'd love to if I really get into it. I mean, if I really enjoy it, I'll go all the way. But I don't know. It's really cool opening up like the world map right now and just looking at everything they've added, and like they've added detail to the sea. And it's cool
Yeah.
because you can zoom in and see like extra details and stuff. It's awesome.
And when you walk by the coastlines, you see that sort of shadowing. It makes it look like you're approaching land, which I have to say, they did a phenomenal job on that, because I felt like with what we have going, which is just blue carpet, it would be very hard to make anything sort of look properly textured. But they did a great job with what they have. And I'm sure with an HD client sort of coming out at some point in the future, the water will look like really good. But I'm really happy with what they've done. And then yeah, like when you zoom out and you see all these different like seas and stuff, it's fucking cool. It's really cool.
Yeah.
And I have been kind of a critic of sailing. I have been a bit worried about some aspects of it, because I played like the original beta early this year in the spring, and I was not having a good time. And I understand that if you were to beta test any skill, any of the now going to be 24 skills in the game, from level 1 to 30, you'd be fucking depressed. Imagine training smithing from 1 to 30 and be like, we're coming out with a new skill called smithing.
Yeah.
Here you go. Like, go mine your fucking ores and then get like 5 XP smelting it every 5 ticks in the Lumbridge furnace. Like, have a great time doing that. It's like, I just understand that what we were given is not a great look. And one of my biggest complaints was like boat speed and just like being able to see far. And it sounds like they're really listening to feedback. And it what I've heard, and I talked to Hebox, who has been a part of that sailing development, like as sort of like the player role of it, and he says yeah, boats become pretty fast at like the later levels, which gets me super excited. And dude, there's going to be so much to explore, and I feel like just knowing Husky and Elena have been on the project the whole time gives me so much fucking hope. And they're so in tune with what is good for the game and what feels right. So it's funny how like I've almost been more like scared of sailing like earlier on, and now that it's approaching, I'm getting very excited. It's not like the opposite. I felt like in my head it would have been the opposite, where like the closer it gets, the more like scared I am for it. But I'm just like, nah, I'm excited.
Yeah. I think as well, you know, like the poll was really close between shamanism and sailing. And like they did say something of the sorts of like, you know, down the line they could potentially look at adding another skill. And it's one of those, I feel like this is such an important moment for old school RuneScape because it's the first skill we've had, and I think that I don't think they've taken that for granted. Like, I think they have really committed to making this as good as they can. Like, we'll see soon because it comes out on the 19th.
Yeah.
But like, you know, it's quite a tall order, really, if you think about it. Because if they get this right and they deliver a really good skill that people enjoy, it's like, well, then that's going to lead to more people trusting them to be able to output another skill that would ultimately lead to more growth of the game, or at least you'd assume so. So I don't think they've taken it for granted. I mean, look at this. Like, they didn't put a leagues out this year, probably because, you know, a lot of the devs were working on sailing to make sure that they could get it right. And like a lot has gone into this. So I don't know. I've got high hopes for it. I hope that my non-skiller brain will be able to like really embrace like the day one of a new skill and just properly getting into it. And I think I will. Because I mean, I was around when like, you know, summoning, dungeoneering, I was around when Hunter first released. And, you know, I trained all of those skills day one to like a relatively high level. Back then that was like level 70, you know,
Yep.
not so high now, but and I loved it. It was like, you know, nobody knows what we're doing with this skill. Like, it was just fun to do something on day one. Like, day one experiences are always the best, whether it's bloody raids being released, a new skill, like whatever it is. It's just nice to be doing something where it's not being like mid-maxed. People don't really know what they're doing, so you can't really be bad. You know what I mean? It's
Yep.
like you can go into a raid on day one and it could take you 6 hours and you might fail, and it's like it doesn't matter. It's like everybody's bad, nobody knows what they're doing. Day one experiences in RuneScape are just peak. Everybody
Yeah.
should get involved. And I think that this is going to bring a lot of players back. I don't know about new players, But like, I do think that a lot of people that casually play the game will probably log in on the week of release and like just give it a go.
Oh yeah, dude, it's gonna be glitchy. Like there's gonna be so many people logged in, especially over that weekend, because it drops on Wednesday, less than 2 weeks from now. And dude, that weekend, I'm sure I'm gonna just leave this out on the table. I think that we're gonna hit like 270,000 concurrent players at like one point during that. And I think the server, like, just the servers are going to be struggling mightily. And you know how like the way they're doing it is like you can see everybody's boats, but they kind of become like shadows in the water when you're overlapping them. Dude,
Yeah.
it's going to be an eyesore looking at everything. Like it's going to be bad, but I'm very excited. I think it was Mod Aiza. I think he was just on, I think it was Tom Tuesday. He said that. I don't think it was a Q&A, but he was just saying it would be a success to him if the worlds all crashed and everything. But he was kind of joking, but like he would be like, yeah, that would be a marker of success, just knowing like our game can't handle the load of players.
Well, I mean, hopefully they leave up all of the Gridmaster worlds and just convert those into. Are they doing that, by the way?
That's ending actually, so it'll be just in time for. I think Gridmaster actually ends next week because it was just a 4-week thing. Yeah.
So are they going to leave the worlds as permanent worlds that people can just use?
I'm pretty sure Gridmaster worlds were not even additional worlds. I think they just replaced the normal worlds and then changed them into Gridmaster because they've already reverted a lot of them back because Gridmaster obviously has lost a bunch of players now that people have completed it. So I don't even think, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they added a few worlds, but I don't think any were actually added. They were just replaced briefly.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm looking at the map right now. Like the oceans, there's more ocean, I think, in the game than there is land, or at least maybe about the same. So, but it just depends on how far people explore out. But I imagine day one is going to be like, it should be flooded with people. I think that's going to be like that day one MMO kind of hype, and it'd probably be like that for a while. I wonder if it'll stay like that for a long time. Like, I don't know. That's a different question, but yeah, people are definitely going to be engaging in this, and pretty much just this, I imagine. Like, if you're playing the game the week that this is released and you don't do sailing, people are going to be like, "Why aren't you sailing?
Mm-hmm.
Why haven't you tested this out yet?" I feel.
Dude, I'm looking over by Prif on the world map, and there's just a bunch of like super crazy water on that shoreline, just to like make sure you can't go over there before you've completed Song of the Elves.
Yeah.
Very interesting. See, that's it's so crazy having such a massive project and thinking of all the little ins and outs of requirements for quests and things and just making sure everything still feels coherent. And man, the amount of like dev time and thought into just everything is just wild. But you know what's really cool? And they said this on Reddit as well. I just remember hearing it. Like there are no more black boxes right now in the game, like in the map. Like everything is just filled out. It's really fucking cool.
There's definitely room for things to be added, like bottom left corner and stuff like that. But yeah, I see that.
Yeah, it's nice though not having like those black edge of the world fall off the edge of the world kind of moments. But I'm excited as well for Menopause, because we have Sophonem, and I'm looking over here. Menopause is that other place in the desert that I think in RS3 that's where like the true soul altar is, and maybe like I don't even know, but I don't know what they would put in there, but I do like the idea of a true soul altar, because the same thing with the True Blood altar. I thought that was a great addition. So there's obviously so many things to add, and they said over the next like few years they're going to just keep expanding on sailing and adding new islands and stuff. So
that's really cool. Do you think they're going to? Everyone talks about this. Do you think that the next raid is going to be tied to sailing at all?
The next one, no. I think they've kind of said that. I think the devs have kind of hinted at like Raids 4 will not have any sailing requirement. It's not going to be sailing themed. Okay. But I'm almost certain that Raids 5 or whatever, like the huge piece of content that comes out after that, after sailing as well, has had more and more updates added to it, and getting everybody comfortable with sailing. then I think they would definitely implement it. It would be crazy though to actually see boat utilization in the raid. That I don't know if they'll go that far, but that would be wild.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's going to be interesting to see like how the skill is it going to be like an optional skill to train, or is it almost like if you're not training the skill, you're kind of missing out on everything else?
Well, if you're going for max, you're definitely going to be missing. I mean, you have to train it. I mean, it feels like the reason a lot of people train skills is to get a max cape because it's so fucking busted. But I think there's going to be some sailing pures out there that are just never going to touch it, and they're going to be totally fine with it. But I think there will be some new metas, and I think over the course of time, because I remember there being hunter pures back in early old school where people just refused to train hunter. They're like, nah, this ain't like old school. And over time, though, we've seen like hunter rumors come out and other hunter updates, and it's like you not participating in hunter now is just kind of troll. And I think the same
Yeah.
thing will happen with sailing. I'm pretty sure on release as well, but over the next couple of years, when there's so much stuff added with sailing and so many accessible islands through sailing, not doing it is just silly.
Yeah, no, definitely. And also, like, you're gonna be cut off from like half of the places on the map by the looks of it. Not half, but like a decent chunk of
Yeah.
places you'll just never be able to go to if you don't train the skill. So, yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah. And so what are your plans then for November 19th? Are you just gonna log into like the main? Are you playing your hardcore? Like what's your plan for like day one and I guess like for the next few months following the launch?
Yeah, so I'll definitely start on the main. Just because, like, I don't know what the situation is. Are we going to be able to sink and die?
I
You
think
know, it's
so.
like,
They
am
they
I
were hinting at that.
really?
Yeah, it's like dangerous out in the
Oh,
waters,
okay.
in some parts of the waters, yeah.
Yeah, I'll definitely do it on the main first and just see like how good it is, I guess. Like, I'm sure there's going to be loads of things where I'm like, wow, that'd be really good to have that on the hardcore. But yeah, I mean, I've got pretty much unlimited GP on the main, so I'll throw some GP at getting some high levels and like just testing everything out. And I feel like that'd probably be the funnest way to do it. And then, yeah, probably at the moment, I don't, dude, I haven't even bought any resources yet, which is crazy. I need to start stocking up because I know the prices are probably getting stupid now. But they did do a blog post and they showed like the levels you need to engage with everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not gonna lie, man, I'm like base 80s on my main account. I've got so many mains, by the way. Like if I played one account, I would have maxed like 3 or 4 times because I just did so many like making something from nothing series. I've got so many accounts with like hundreds of mils on, but they're all kind of like mid, They're all like
Yeah.
base 80s and max combats. Basically the only thing you need to like raid and do PvP. But I need to get like a bunch of like 90s and skills and stuff. So I'm probably going to spend the next few weeks like getting all the requirements on my main account to just be able to do everything. And then who knows, maybe go for 99 or something. It just depends. It's one of those like if I really enjoy the skill, definitely will. If I don't, I'll just be like, I'm going to go back to the hardcore, but I'll definitely give it a really good shot and sink like a few weeks into it, I think, with like a lot of hours played and just see how far we get.
Yeah, I've been asked because I have my super pimped out Ironman, not as pimped out anymore because I haven't played it really for like the last year and a half consistently. But people are like, "Are you gonna go back on there and max it out again?" Because I've just been playing my new Iron for the last like year, and it's been super super fun. But I feel like as soon as sailing drops and I don't commit to the main iron, it's gonna be very hard to jump back into it without a max cape and without all these other pieces of content that I've touched. And just logging in with like one sailing is gonna be super fucking depressing. Like if I don't just immediately do it. So
Yeah.
there is like that sort of anxiety of like shit. Like I need to really train sailing on a bunch of different accounts, like this one at least, and Sae Bae, but. Yeah, I'm also excited for all the new series popping up. Like, do you have any desire to sort of do a sailing type snowflake series that's something like I don't know, like something sailing related? I feel like those might pop off.
I mean, like I said, like if I really enjoy it when I get into it, and I played the beta by the way, so I have like a vague understanding of what some of the early level skilling is going to look like. If I really enjoy it and I think it's sick, like who knows? Maybe I might be like, wow, it'd be amazing to just do like a sailing only hardcore Iron Man or some little niche series like that. But no, it'd be interesting to see what people come up with, and like I don't know about you, but like I watch a lot of the chunk lock accounts, like the
Yep.
extreme chunk locks, like Limproot and Verf, and I love watching them. But I don't think I would do it myself.
Oh, fuck that. Yeah.
'Cause
Totally with you.
it's like, what do you do if you get like a chunk that's gonna take you like a year to complete? And it's like, I don't know, man. I don't think I can do it. I don't think I've got it in me, you know.
Dude, Verf,
But
Verf and Limpward are just insane. Verf, especially, he has done some super masochistic grinds. Like, did you see like his? I don't know if it was like his latest episode or whatever. I was watching him on Twitch. He's just mining Lovakite. Did like
yeah,
25 million mining XP at fucking Lovakite. Dude, that shit is ass. And he was tick manipulating it with the worst tick manipulation stuff. Like he was doing 4 tick. It was just
yeah.
horrible to witness. And dude, God, like there is something like he's built different. He's just built different because there's just no way you'd go into that like, you know, I don't even know how many hours it was. It was at least 100, maybe 200, maybe 3. I don't know. It was in the hundreds. And I'm just thinking, dude, 5 hours into that, are you not just questioning your whole life or your whole existence? Like, well, God.
Yeah. Man, 5 hours into that, and I'd be like, my brain would just be like, right, what series am I going to quit this for? What are we going to jump in? But like, I don't
Yeah.
want to be that guy. I've always seen my series through. That's why I'm so
Yep.
scared of like starting something like that. Because I genuinely think if I rolled a chunk like that, I'd be like, boys, I guess I'll see you in like a year. It should be like 3 months, but I'm definitely going to burn out and take a couple breaks along the way. But no, Verf is built different. Like you didn't go to RuneFest this year, did you?
Nah.
Did you? No. So I saw Verf there. I think it was the first time I've met Verf, but I've like been friends with him for a very long time. He's such a lovely guy, like super, super nice. And like you can tell that he has hobbies outside of RuneScape, but like he just freaking loves it. Like I don't know, man. Like he's playing multiple accounts at once, and he's doing his like Lovakench mine, which is funny because at the time at RuneFest he was mid grind on that, so everybody would be like, "Oh, you're the Lovakench guy," and like at the moment, I'm pretty sure he is on that same account. He is in Corrend, and he is fixing. Do you know? Oh, what's the place called? Port. Uh, I can't say it. Piscarilius.
Yeah, you
He's
got it perfect.
fixing. I got it.
Yeah.
Nailed it. He's literally fixing the cranes there to get whatever
Ah,
that gives you an XP, and he's been there for like a month now, and he's still going.
dude. Okay, have you ever? I mean, you've played a main. You're playing a hardcore currently. Have you ever had the desire to play a UIM? Like just in general, not like a snowflake or anything, just like just normal UIM. Or have you? Maybe you have
No,
touched it, but
I haven't. I'll be honest. No.
dude, it's the shit like cranes that and the suiciding, which I apparently has been debunked because many people that have had on lately are like, nah, the UIM like anti-propaganda is the fact that you have to like death pile everywhere, which I guess just isn't the case unless you're like doing a bunch of wildy stuff. But one of the things that just irritates me to no end are methods like that where do you want to get 99 construction and 99 crafting on your UIM? All right, go sit at cranes and have like 5 alts like helping you to fix these cranes the whole time. Like it doesn't even feel like RuneScape. It doesn't even feel like a training method. It's just like total ass. And if you don't do it, you're just wasting a shit ton of time because it's just so efficient. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh God, dude, just thinking about that makes me just depressed.
Yeah, I see. I've only just started playing like Iron Man. Like
Mm,
I made a hardcore years ago when they came out, and this is kind of insane. But like back, God, I think it's probably 8 years ago. People were trying to be so efficient, and like you'd speak to like Boti or anyone like that, and they'd be like, the most efficient way to play Iron Man is to get 99 fire making before you play and 99 fishing, and there was like another 99 as well before even playing the account, and like everybody was like side playing on the hardcores and stuff. And I was one of those guys. I made my hardcore. I literally got 99 fishing and fire making on it. And then I got to the crafting grinds, and at the time, the only way to do the crafting grind, because in the desert, the mines, there wasn't the mill, so the only way that you got buckets of sand was either filling them up in Yanil or buying them from the ports, which were
Yep.
like hugely like you were fighting like 10 Iron Men per world to try and get buckets of sand. So I was just like, I don't think I'm gonna play on this account anymore, and I just quit playing. Like I literally did 99 fishing and fire making, and I just quit because I got to the crafting grind and I was like, nope, I think I'm going back to the main.
Bro,
Um,
you just reminded me of that shit of hopping charter ships to buy out sand and seaweed and soda ash and the competition. And then you would, dude, if you did it for long enough, because I was doing this on my hardcore way back, like even in the early days of hardcore, like I was actually rank 2 crafting at the time. I was very, very high ranked hardcore before I got banned. I auto clicked Alks. This is before I was ever a content creator or anything. It's just like 2016. Literally like almost a decade ago, which is just wild to think about. But yeah, I remember trying to micromanage other players because I would hop into another Ironman doing that shit and tell them, hey, just go to these worlds, bro. Like, just hop through like these 20 worlds, and then I'll hop on these 20. And if I'd find another player, I'm like, hey, will you just go to these 20 worlds? And then like the whole thing's gonna be way smoother if we just do this for each other. You know what I mean? Nope, nobody would fucking listen. Everybody was just hopping to random worlds. So it was just the biggest headache to try to sort of micromanage or to try to have some sort of system, and nobody would listen. It was a horrible experience. And you try to find the charters that are like way out there. Like I remember hopping over to like Mostly Harmless's charters because it felt like one that like people would forget about. Nope, there's still like 5 Iron Men hopping just nonstop, just tilting.
Jeez. But yeah, they've added so much now to the game because this is after I've literally just played an Iron Man, got a 99 fishing and fire making, and that's it. So like this year probably I think probably this time last year I started playing an Iron Man from scratch, like from level 3,
Hmm.
and I unfortunately I died on the first one. I had a very questionable death at TOA. It was just me just being stupid, stubborn, just really bad. I basically didn't teleport out on 19 HP on Warden P3 on the final line on
Oh,
Insanity.
Jesus.
It's bad. It's really bad. I hate watching the clip because I'm just like, I'm so dumb. Like, why did I even stay? Like, I
But
should have.
imagine you clutched it though, imagine.
That was it. But dude, it was so that my mistake was I looked at the boss's HP instead of like I
Floor.
should just not have looked. I shouldn't
Yeah.
have looked because it made me stay. So I died on that account, and then I was like, okay, well, I have this other account which is kind of close to that account, my original one, that has the 99 fishing and fire making. So this is like my first time playing Iron Man, like ever. It's taken, what, like 8 years to get to this point. And I have to say, I didn't enjoy it back 8 years ago for the reasons I've said, but they've added so many updates to the game in that time, like small quality of life things, and also bigger content to like the mid game. Like you've got the Moons of Peril, you know, you've got the Titans and everything like that that just didn't exist previously. And the game feels so fluid. Like the progression feels so natural from like the beginning to the mid game to the end game. And it's just so nice because you have to remember, like, when they added Iron Man mode in the first place, like, RuneScape wasn't built based upon Iron Man mode. RuneScape was probably based off of mains that would be working together and like trading and so forth. So they've kind of had to connect a lot of dots, I feel like, in the last few years because Iron Man's just been so popular. And like Jagex have done a phenomenal job. Like they really have. Like the mid game on an Iron Man now is just so fun. And they've added so many things. It's like previously you didn't even have like the Song of the Elves at one point. So if you wanted to play an Iron Man, like you'd pretty much go from like a dragon skimmy to like you'd pretty much be forced to do Slayer and get like a whip and stuff. And it's like now you can just do like a really mid game quest, get yourself a zombie axe, go to the moons, get some armor, which is like you can literally use that armor to do late game content. It's really decent. and they've just filled in the blanks in such a good way, in my opinion. So I've been loving playing it. Like, I'm kind of mad at myself for not playing it sooner, to be honest with you. But I'm
Mm,
also glad at the same time I waited for them to like add those good things into the game because it's just been smooth.
it is so smooth. It's such a fun experience. I mean, that's partly the reason why I started this account back, like literally just last year in November. It's been a year now. And because before that, I was playing this super end game maxed Ironman with 1.7 bill XP and just like really digging my heels into it. Like, I I remember thinking to myself, there is no way I want to start a new account and have to get a quest cape again. Like, god damn, that sounds horrible. But I had never even experienced Quest Helper because I did all that shit like way back. And Quest
Yeah.
Helper has been like the smoothest thing of all time. And then I played on Big Dogs, which was like our hardcore group with like me, Tasty, No Monkey, T Papa, and Jesse. And we played that for a few months, and I was like, holy fuck, I have been missing out. Like new like playthroughs are super exhilarating these days. And yeah, so that's what kind of got me into this account. I've just loved it. I'm now getting to the point where I'm entering that sort of late stage where grinds like genuinely take a minute, and I'm like, yeah, I'm starting to feel that sort of like this the progression just isn't quite as fast as I'd like. I haven't even touched raids yet hardly, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
interesting.
I think that when you just like do a really long term grind as well, I feel like for me personally, like I kind of stagnate and I'm just like the same as you. I'm like, oh, I couldn't even imagine making a new account, having to do quests again, and all of this. But it's with like them adding sailing like to come soon as well, I think it's just gonna change the game even more. And that's probably part I don't know, do you have like a theory on why some people are so like anti new things coming into the game, like sailing, for example? Because I think it's just stagnation. I think that people just get too used to doing the same stuff over and over again, that then anything completely new just feels like, ooh, I don't want to do that. Like that's new, it's unknown. I don't know if I want to go there.
I think that, I mean, you've already said it like exactly right. I think there are so many players, not so many. I think the vast majority are very like normal brained, like they like new stuff. But there is a subsection of players in this game that are pretty autistic, and myself to some degree is included in this, which is you don't like the unfamiliarity. You want to log in to this game. The reason so many players log into this game is for that comfort and familiarity and knowing how the game is. And if you change the game too drastically, or if there's huge updates, it can just start feeling foreign and not that comfort game that you've grown to love. And that's been the sort of tightrope walk that the devs and the players with polling have kind of had to sort of collide with, is just how do we make this game progress and still feel like the same, but also give meaningful like updates that are progressing like XP and skills and gear and all that. And sailing is one of those updates that is probably the closest to something like EOC. I'm not saying it's anywhere near what EOC was, and I wasn't actually there for that time period. I was just playing Guitar Hero and whatever else, Minecraft. But it's such it's such an impactful update. It's a brand new skill. Like you look at the skills thing, and it's a different game now. And I think there are people that will kind of fearmonger that. And the fact that we do have, this is just the last point I'll say on it, which is the fact that we do have the power to vote on polls and stuff and to change the trajectory of the game in the way we want, and to have that power as a player is even more a reason why people get so like vocal about like not wanting sailing and not wanting huge changes happening into this game. You have, and then there's like a spectrum of it, which is like the automologies, which are like very much like keep the game exactly how it was in 2013. And then you have the
Yeah.
players that are a little bit more lenient, like, I don't know, just players that enjoy the PVM side of things that gets kind of like ramped up, and they love that, but they don't like it when skills are added because they're more PVMers. Anyway, I'm kind of rambling at this point, but there is a reason though why players don't want sailing. It's not just because they hate themselves. It's because they're a player that enjoys the familiarity and not
Yeah.
liking the unknown.
Yeah, no, I definitely get that. When you were trying to find somebody that likes the updates, Solo Mission came to mind. That shill.
Oh yeah, he
It's
loves it.
vote yes to everything. But he's, you know, I'm good friends with Solo, by the way, so I
Yeah,
always give him a bit of shit. But you know, he does it because he knows that he wants the content. Like that's the thing that he's looking for. But you know, like back in the day, like I used to just do PvP, by the way. So I don't know if many people really know this about me, but I used to be just a PvP player. Like on the old servers, I did a tiny bit of PVM. Like I did, you know, obviously I got a fire cape. I did PVM to make money. I even did like the kiln cape back in the day. I'm sure. Do you know what that is? It's like the
I know
Inferno,
of
but
it.
for
Yeah.
yeah. So like totally different skill set, but like that was me dabbling in PVM back then. But like back then when I was a PvPer, whenever they added a new skill, which we didn't have any say on at all, it was almost always gonna be like an annoyance to me and to other PvPers because it's like people probably don't remember this when they first added Herblore, or sorry, not Herblore, when they added overloads to the game back in the old version of the game. For like the first few days, it's like you could use those inside of PvP, right? And people were getting specced out like 50-50 and like, you know, losing their minds because it was like, oh my god. Um, and then we had summoning come out, we had dungeoneering, and if you did PvP back in those days, you kind of had to engage with those skills to be on the same fair playing field as everybody else. So I used to do a lot of hybriding at like Mage Bank back then. And if you didn't have a pack yak, which I think was like 96 summoning, like you were kind of trolling. It was like, what are you doing? Like this person has such a massive advantage on you in terms of extra food. They also can literally pack hack stuff to the bank at Mage Bank. Like you could literally send all of your valuables to the bank to safety. And then you had Dungeoneering as well, where it was like they had the arcane steam necklace, which is it was like the occult necklace, right? It was massive, like huge back then. You had the not the Elder Maul, the Chaotic Maul, the Farseer Shield, you know, all of these items that were so big. And if you didn't actually do those skills, then you were definitely at a massive disadvantage. Like it was just it was night and day. It was like if you didn't have a Whooper Tinger, which was like this little bunny that followed you around and gave you a massive mage level increase, like you were just gonna get destroyed. It was you know what I mean? Like you were forced to engage with content that maybe you didn't want to do.
Yeah.
And I think the Jagex have done like a better job of that now. And even with like new items coming into the game, like sometimes they nerf them inside of the wilderness and stuff. And like I'm so glad they do that because like one thing coming into the game which is like really beneficial for like 90% of the players can also be at the detriment of like 10% of people that like to just do like another part of the game. And because there's been some crazy items that have come in and they just like they've nerfed them inside of PvP because they should. You know what I mean? Because it's like some things are just not balanced for PvP. So yeah, it's nice that with sailing it doesn't feel. I mean, we won't know yet, but I'm hoping there's nothing in there that's gonna like force somebody who really doesn't want to do it to have to do it. It should always be like an option, I think.
Yeah. And there will always be that mild crossover that's just maybe raids 5 in several years will have a level 70 sailing requirement or a new quest to get your quest cape back. But yeah, you're right. Like you shouldn't be adding things that are so game breaking. Dude, it's funny. I was just this morning, I was on Reddit and something that kind of came to my mind was just almost like unintentional updates. Like I doubt that when they came out with summoning, they were thinking of how abusable it will be in PvP. It's just probably not something that was on their mind as much. But then you have a fucking pack yak. You just send all your shit to the bank and just have like unlimited food or whatever. And
Yeah.
the funny thing is, I saw this comment. Apparently, there was a glitch just over the past couple days with the whole sailing sort of like pre-release, them adding like the skill icon and everything else. Goldsmithing Gauntlets got nerfed to like 33.5 XP instead of like 56.5 or whatever it is
Oh.
currently. And the guy was like, why the fuck are goldsmithing gauntlets broken randomly? I go, well, what would have even caused this? And the first comment that had like 700 upvotes was Mod Husky, just on his Reddit account. And he's just like, yeah, really funny thing. Apparently Goldsmithing gauntlets have always just been bugged. Like they're supposed to be 33 like 0.5 XP or whatever. And people
No way.
people had actually responded to it, and they're like, yeah, I remember in Classic that's how much it was. Like Goldsmithing gauntlets only gave that much. And so apparently what had happened was some coding error that we've all just gotten used to just like doubled it up pretty much. Very similar to what we saw with Range Void. You remember in the old days of old school where like Range Void was just so fucking overpowered. It was just, it had a doubling effect where it wasn't just the 10% accuracy and damage. It was actually 10 and then multiplicative to another 10. So it was almost like I think a 21% or something like that damage and accuracy. And it was just left in the game, and they eventually had to nerf it because like, holy shit, like it's so hard to balance anything around this insane multiplier that's going on. And it's so funny because you see goldsmithing gauntlets, like gold has always been the meta with smithing, and it's because of a fucking bug, like a coding error. And it very much like kind of like it was sort of a chokehold on smithing the skill, because you just had one ore that was just so extremely powerful compared to all the other ores that it's made it very difficult to sort of balance smithing going forward. And it's just so goofy that nobody knew about it until they start messing around with sailing, and they just start seeing like these little glitches that come in that are like so unintentional.
So have we been getting more XP for years? And
yeah,
like
the entire existence of old school.
Wow.
Yeah.
So everyone going forward is going to get nerfed when it comes to their smithing XP.
No, because they immediately hotfixed it like a day after, because they're like, we're going to make it go back to its busted rate because everyone's used to it. Like if they were to actually nerf that, there would be an uprising. Like people would not be happy with it. Like people that are trying to get their 99 smithing.
Oh man, yeah, I think the weirdest one that happens, and it's happened so many times, and this bugs me, but it's like a really minor one. For some reason, like, do you know like when you equip the item in your icon, that pixelated version? Like a good example of that is the Osmutant's Fang, where they've for some reason changed the way that like it looks when it's in the inventory.
Oh,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, the inventory sprite. Let me see it, because it probably shows it on the wiki.
Dude, it used to look so perfect. I've got it on my Twitter. I'll see if I can find it. But like, it used to look amazing. It was like powerful and like awesome looking. And then they made it into this freaking weird ass looking like goofy sword. And I don't know what's going on there. I have no idea what's causing that.
Because I'm seeing it right here. It actually doesn't look as bad as I do remember when they changed it, and it was kind of jarring. I was like, why did you guys have to touch this? So, let me see that.
There's a picture of the sprites.
You're right. You're right. Because I'm looking at the OG one right here. Let me pull this one up too. Yeah,
but I think they tweaked it as well. I'm pretty sure. Like at some point it looked worse than that one that I just sent to you. Like it was really goofy. It was so weird. I don't know why it has to be like a mistake or something, surely. Like there's no way they intentionally did this.
It just looks so bad on the new one. Like why did they even, is it just the spacing of it? Like did they just not want it to have so few pixels? Kind of like it looks so, the old one looks so clean. It looks great.
Yeah. That's it. That's what people were annoyed at. They were like, why did this change? And that's the thing. I don't think that it was an intentional change. Like, surely, like, why would you change something that looks fine to something that just looks goofy, man? It looks like, I don't even know, dude. It's like this like weird ass banana looking sword that looks like it's gone mush. Like,
dude, you know what bothered me is when they changed the Dragon Claws sound. This is several years back. Dragon Claws were in the game, and I think what somebody told me is what they used to have was a DDS sound. So just like the, like just very like calm. And then it just became this fucking clanking, obnoxious, like super just metal hitting metal kind of sound. And when it first dropped, it was annoying. I was like, who made this sound? Holy fuck. Now I'm totally used to it. We just have fully gotten used to it. It's the same thing with Osmutant's Fang. You're probably seeing it now and you're just used to it now. So you're like, oh, whatever. But those immediate changes are just jarring. Like, what are you guys doing?
I think as well. I think that they've, the old school team has expanded so much in the last few years. And I can only imagine that there are, new people that are messing around with things in the back end on the coding side, and mistakes happen. So, but I don't know. It that one bothered me. I loved the way that it looked, and then they took it away for no reason
Yep.
at all.
Do you remember when they slanted the Just Assure legs? So they just kind of are just look
Did
slanted.
they?
They're not like straight up and down. And
No, I don't. Let me have a look.
let me show you. I can show you the wiki page of it, but Just Assure. If you scroll all the way to the bottom, you see what they used to look like. Yeah, just look up
Yeah.
Just Assure leg guard. So they slanted them, and the reason they slanted them was because they looked too similar to ancestral legs. And so, and to
Yeah.
be fair, the first edition of it, you see like 7th of June to the 21st of June, 2018, when
Yeah.
they were first, they do look very, very similar to ancestral legs. And then they kind of changed them to make them look a little bit less like that. And then they slanted them. And dude, first of all, who the hell is bringing ancestral and Just Assure to anything, I mean, who even uses Just Assure anyway? I feel like at this point, just for my OCD, I would love it if they reverted it, because the slanted legs and then everything else being straight upward just bothers me. It's just so ugly.
Yeah. I've always had like this thing for the sprites for some reason. Like I love them, man. I remember like when I was a
Same.
kid. Dude, I remember when I was a kid and I was like playing RuneScape for the first time and just like, I remember getting my first fire cape and just like freaking staring at it in my inventory, just like
Yeah.
I've always loved it. Like I've just loved the sprites, and same for like I remember getting full dragon back in the day, like dragon chain body. Back when it used to be like 20 mil, and just staring at that shit like a child, just like oh my, like Gollum, like at the ring, man, just like obsessed with it.
Bro, I'm fucking with you. Like that's exactly how I felt as a kid. Like, you know what was the coolest looking item in my opinion when I was a kid? Like I played from 2004 to 2007. So I didn't experience anything from 2008 to like 2013 basically, or I guess 2015 technically. But Santa hat. Dude, the Santa
Oh
hat
yeah,
sprite looked so clean.
yeah,
So
it
fucking clean.
was, man. Oh,
Yeah.
is the one in old school RuneScape the same as what it used to be from back when you were talking about, or is it
Yep.
changed?
Yep. It
It's the
looks
same.
identical. Let me I need to see it on my end. I'm also just showing it for the audience sake, but this yeah, this shit is just classic. It doesn't have the
No,
same vibe to it because back then, Santa hats were worth millions, and
yeah.
now they're just 17K. Great.
That's always something that as primarily like a main player,
Hmm.
I feel like if they had untradables in the game, and I know that it's probably quite a um controversial thing to say, but like I always enjoyed it. Like for me as a main player, it's like having party hats, Santa hats, Christmas crackers, and all of that stuff when it was actually limited and there was like a finite amount of them in the game. It was nice as a main because it was like you could never have too much money. It was like, okay, you've got all the gear, you've bought yourself a party hat. What's next? You get the party hat set. Like that was something that I used to do back on the old servers. Like I'm not gonna lie, I was like majorly addicted into like the duel arena and stuff.
Hmm.
But it was always one of those things where it was like you couldn't have enough. Whereas playing a main now, it's a lot less about like your items and the money and stuff, and like obviously people have naturally started to go towards collection logs, combat tasks and things like that. But it's always been something that I feel like has been missing from old school. But I do get why they wouldn't want to add it, and it would be really difficult at this point as well.
I feel like old school had in the early days, wealth meant so much more. Like if you were a rich player, you were just still, I don't know, people just had like the googly eyes, like, oh my God, like that guy's, I'm just so envious of his bank and whatever. Nowadays, Yeah, I think just there's such a different culture of people like restarting accounts, similar to what you do and other creators. People caring about just the number, like your XP or your collections logged, and it's really not, or just your PVM ability. Like that has gotten so much more, I guess, like respect and notoriety, because back in the day you didn't know how good players were. It was just all based on like your levels. Like, did you have a 99? Did you have a party hat? Did you have whatever else? And nowadays it's like you get respect for just being a good PVMer, and there are ways to show that off, like Zuckhelm and Radiant Oathblade, Blood Torba, and everything else.
You're right. It's probably more meaningful as well, like going for that stuff instead of just going for like another party hat or something. But yeah, it's probably nostalgia as well. It's like looking back with like rose tinted lenses, you know.
Yep. And just having like a child brain back then. I don't know how old you are. I just turned 30 this year. And
I'm
I mean,
32.
yeah, I was 9 years old when I started playing, and holy shit, like just a different world entirely. Everything was a mystery to me.
How did you get introduced to the game, by the way?
So I was playing a lot of like mini clip. I remember playing like Bush Shootout and Heli Attack 2. Those are like the notable games I remember playing a lot.
I know. Why do I know Bush Shootout? One sec. I've definitely played. Oh my god!
It was during election season. It was like the John Kerry versus George W. Bush. It was just like the Bush Shootout where you're like at the White House, like shooting people as George Bush. It was fucking weird.
I definitely played that on miniclip 100%.
That's awesome, dude. There were so many like random political games that made it, they didn't like, I didn't understand what was so relevant about it. I'm like, why are we like, I didn't understand the political like humor of it all. But yeah, looking back, I'm like, dude, Bush that was a dope fucking game. And Heli Attack 2 was, I don't know if you played that. That was the one where you're just basically endlessly shooting at these helicopters, and it's like a sort of like a platformer game. And you eventually reach one side of the map where you could just kind of hide under this little like I don't know, little like indent in the like mountain kind of. And your guy just continually gets these new upgrades where you're just shooting like rockets and shit at these helicopters. And bro, that game slapped. That was so fun.
I'm looking at it right now. It kind of looks like a game called Metal Slug. Have you heard of that?
No. Is it similar though?
Oh my, dude, it looks just like this. And I think I have played this Heli Attack one as well. Yeah, you should check out. It's called Metal Slug. I think it was originally like an arcade game. That was the first time I played it as a kid. And I know that they put it onto like PlayStation and stuff. You can probably get it online. But like those games are super, super cool. Like badass. Same kind of thing, like side scrolling, shooting and stuff like that.
Bro, I'm just looking at these fucking screenshots. I'm like imagining the like game music, just looking at the screenshot. Like, oh my god.
It's actually sick. Like, this is back when they used to put really good music in games as well.
Yep.
And like, dude, the voice lines, oh my, you should check it out. Type into YouTube, like when you do it later, type in like Metal Slug voice lines. They're the most badass things ever.
Is it just Metal Slug, or did you play like Metal Slug 2? I'm looking at it on Google.
I definitely played 1, 2, maybe 3.
This does look very similar. 1, it's got that same vibe. Yep.
The voice acting is crazy. The music's awesome. Like these games were awesome for their time.
But to answer your question about how I was introduced, I was playing a lot of miniclip, and in 4th grade, I was 9 years old. My friend, his name was Zorion. I remember his name. He had a very interesting name. It was like Z-I and then Ryan. And he was like, dude, have you ever played RuneScape before? And I'm like, no. But I remember seeing a banner on it, or a banner of it on miniclip. And so he was like, dude, you gotta fucking play this. And I did have that curiosity about MMOs back then. I remember there was like some website that had a massive like blog post list of like the top 50 MMOs. And they were just, because MMOs were getting a ton of popularity at the time. And I remember RuneScape being on the list, and there was this other game. Oh shit, one of my guests mentioned it. It was like, oh fuck, I'm spacing the name, but there was this other sort of like 3D MMO thing that was really, really cool at the time. So it definitely spoke to me. He got me into it. We would call each other on the home phone and just play at night, and that was kind of how I initially got into it. And I was very, very newbie. I loved woodcutting. I loved like randomly killing the thieves down in Varrock by Aubrey's store, and I was just very, very newbie. But like that's kind of like my whole journey into it. And then I never really got that good. Quit at the free trade removal and wilderness removal. Quit for like literally 8 years and just played other games. And then in my when I turned 20, that's when I kind of got back into old school from one of my roommates in Las Vegas. I was doing like solar selling door to door.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Yeah, I was introduced by my older brother, and like the first, bearing in mind I did PvP like I said to start with, and the first introduction to the game was watching my brother with his friend who came around our house, and they were like freaking out, and I was like, "What's going on?" And they showed me this little like screen on the computer because obviously it was tiny back then, and they're like, "We're in this place called the Wilderness," and they were like, "The deeper we go, the better loot we can find, but we can get killed." And I remember they made it all the way up to the moss giants, you know, where like the Rev caves are now, but back then they didn't exist. And I think I think it's a nature rune spawn that's like next to them. And they were like freaking out and like showing me the game and stuff. And I was like, whoa, this is crazy. Because at the time we only had Nintendo Mega Drive and a PlayStation 1. So to go from playing those games, which are like, you know, you can play with your friends, to then wait, hold up, you're telling me the white people on the map are people behind their computer screens was completely like it was revolutionary. I was like,
Oh yeah.
what? I was like, that's an actual person in life. And it's like, yeah, that's somebody on the other side of another PC. And it just blew my mind. And I mean, I remember we used to have dial up. Did you have dial up? Like internet back in the day?
I did, but it was just for a very brief period. So I remember the sounds though. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So we were only allowed like 30 minutes a day of like internet when I was a kid. And
Yeah.
it was one of those, it kind of sucked. And the thing is like my mum made me and my brother share that 30 minutes. So we had
Oh
15 minutes
God.
each to play RuneScape a day.
Dude, did you
Right?
ever like offer him stuff like, dude, I'll give you this candy if you just fucking let me have your 15 minutes? That surely happened, right? Like
It really didn't
trading.
it did not take long for my brother to just be like, "Pfft," he's like, I'm not playing this anymore. I'm going outside. And I was like, okay, I get the whole 30 minutes to myself.
Hell
And
yeah.
I was just hooked, man. I think that was probably part of the reason as well why I feel like when I was younger, I was definitely addicted to the game. And now that I'm like older and I do it for a living, I wouldn't say I'm addicted to it anymore.
Now you just
Like
have a
there's
problem. No, I'm kidding.
yeah. But it's funny to look back at because I honestly think that where I wasn't able to play it as much as I wanted to,
Yeah.
it kind of did this thing for me where I was like, I want it even more. So
Oh yeah.
it was one of those. And I don't know about you, but like when I went to school, it's like all of my friends went through a phase of playing old school RuneScape or RuneScape back then. But they moved on really fast. Like all of them moved on to like Guild Wars and World of Warcraft and other games. But like our PC was not good enough to play those games. Like I remember trying to install Guild Wars and like the computer just could not do it.
Yep.
Like it just didn't have the power to play that game. So while all my friends had moved on and they were just kind of like going for every game every few months, I just got really good at old school RuneScape. I was just like, I'm still playing. Like this game's awesome. And I think that's probably part of the reason I'm still here today, to be honest. Like, if it wasn't for the fact we had a bad computer growing up, who knows? I might not have made content on the game, seriously. Like, I might have just never played it after, like, 3 months.
Yep. No, dude, we used to have unlimited computer time when I was 9 years old because my parents didn't recognize or didn't realize at the time how much we'd get addicted to it. And I was sharing the computer with 3 other siblings. And I remember just one day, it was after we like went to church and then we came back from church and I just immediately jumped on the computer. And I remember my siblings were just arguing and bickering and crying and screaming over like me not letting them play. And then whatever else happened, and they're like, all right, that's it. My mom came in and just fucking tilted, and she's just like, you're only getting an hour to play every day now. So that hour, I mean, at least I had an hour. I mean, I don't know if you know the RS guy. He's like the biggest RS3 creator. He came on the show and he was saying for him, like his parents basically saw computer time as just evil. Like just, so he would get, I think he said he would get 5 minutes of computer time a day. And the only way to get more was to do like some crazy stuff. Like he was very fit as a kid and his parents were, and he would have to like swim laps. And like every lap he swam, he'd get like another minute or something. I could be a little bit off on the timing of it, but it was something just cruel. I mean, I think the most he would get in a day is like 20 minutes maybe if he did a bunch of stuff. I'm like,
you had to work for it, man. That's crazy. Yeah. You know, it's funny. I remember when I was in well, for you it'd be high school, but for us we call it secondary school. And you know, we were getting to the point where we were starting to take like exams and stuff. And I remember my mum was so against me playing on the computer because it was the summertime, and you know, all of my friends were outside playing on like their bikes and stuff, and she wanted me to go out, and she saw it as well as like a really unhealthy thing.
Yeah.
But this was at the point when we were like in our teens. And I remember having a conversation with her where I was like, listen, mum, I was like, you know, she had a real problem with me playing on the computer all day. I was like, listen, I will go outside and I will play with my friends. And I said, but I need you to know this, is that all they're doing is they're going around the field, they're smoking, and they're drinking. And I was like, I will go if you force me outside, and I will likely do those things too, or I can stay in all day, play the game, and I promise I'll do some homework. And then she just never brought it up again. I was just left to play the game.
Wow. Look at that. I will say, RuneScape, it definitely is a vice. It was for me. And it definitely kept me out of trouble, for sure. I don't feel like I would have gotten in much trouble in the first place. I was a pretty good, like, innocent kid. But that innocence can be taken away quite quickly with the right crowd, you know? So I feel like I did have, in a lot of ways, it did like kind of keep me sort of, I don't know, away from all that. So
yeah, no,
that's so funny.
I get that. And like for me as well, like when I was growing up and stuff, like in school, like I never did like really well in school or anything like that. But like the one thing that I was like exceptionally good at, this is such a random thing, but like I was good at doing PvP, right? It's like I was in clans and you know, I joined teams and we do like PvP trips back in the day. And I was a really good hybrid for the time. Like I was actually good. It was like the one thing that I was good at. And I remember it was kind of almost like confidence building where it was like, okay, so I'm not so good in school. I'm not very good with the ladies. Like, what am I good at? And I'm like, I'm fucking really good at clicking people and taking their items in the wilderness. And it was a really weird time for me when I was in like my teens because you know, that was it. That was the thing that I was good at. I succeeded at that. Whereas everything else, not so great.
I remember having a phase of Guitar Hero. I don't know if you played that at all.
A little bit. I wasn't very good, but I've dabbled, yeah.
I got very, very good at it because I would just sink all my free time into the game. And I remember my dad would just, even my dad played it, to be fair. So it wasn't like he was against it by any means, but the amount of time I would spend practicing songs, I'd go into like the practice mode and slow the song down massively and practice hitting all the notes and just keep resetting over and over and over and over and over to the point where like anybody in the living room listening to me play the game was just getting a headache because the way like the audio just distorts when you're listening to the song on repeat, like at 4 times the like slower speed is just fucking horrible. But for me, I needed to do it. I needed the practice. Anyway, my dad would just ask me some days, he'd be like, you know how good you'd be at the real guitar if you had spent all these hours playing a real guitar? And I'm like, yeah, but that's not fun. Like that doesn't really sound that fun. And I remember because I went over to my friend's house who had a guitar, and I just remember like picking it up and be like, oh, it'd be kind of fun to try this out. Because I was kind of musically inclined. I was in choir and I was in band for a couple years and stuff. But like, Jesus, man. You pick up a guitar for the first time, it's fucking heavy. It's not a light, like, plastic controller. And then you start, like, strumming on it. And I think the guitar was out of tune as well. I didn't even realize it at the time. And I'm like, yep, this is impossible. Like, this is fucking impossible. I just gave up immediately. Just went back to my fun stuff that I was already good at.
Did you ever learn it in the end?
Nope. I understand to some degree the guitar. Like, I understand some of the theory, sort of. So I'm not like a complete idiot. But yeah, actually playing it, like, there's just, you need to sink so much time into learning any instrument. It's ridiculous how much time you need to actually get good and to play music.
Yeah. I've played a tiny bit. Like when I say play guitar, I mean like I can play some very basic songs, and it's been years since I've done it. But I remember the process of, sitting down with the instrument, and I learned to play on an electric guitar. My friend that taught me, I think he just said that it's like I can't remember what it was. It was something about the strings were like easier to push down or something like that. Or maybe it was strumming, like you could strum easier. And I remember how good it felt to go from just being like, what the hell am I holding? To like trying to learn a different language, but you're using your fingers and stuff. And like, I need to pick that back up. I'm not gonna lie, because I used to really enjoy doing it. It was like a productive and fun thing, like to learn as you go, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, no, it's like with anything. I mean, it's just learning anything, unless you just have some crazy natural ability, is like such a pain. It's such a painful process, but it's so fucking rewarding. I
Yep.
mean, to some degree, it feels like RuneScape, where you put enough time into an account, it's incredibly rewarding, but the amount of time you need to sink in is ridiculous. But yeah, with an actual skill like learning an instrument, man, it's rewarding. And
Absolutely, man. I
yeah.
think, like pretty much everything I've ever done, I've never been naturally good at stuff. I've
Mm,
always had, I don't know about you, but like I've always like never just got something straight away. I usually have to like continuously like hammer it home until eventually I get to a level of being good. Because like RuneScape, when I first started playing, I was so bad.
yeah.
Like I was, like everybody was back in the day. And same with like PvP, same with video editing, it's like learning how to edit. I remember back in like the 2000s, people were making PK videos like Elf Mage videos, Kids Rank, Michael Pro. And I was like, I want to make those videos. And I managed to get a cracked version of Sony Vegas Pro back in the day. And I remember opening up the software and I was like, this looks so complicated. I closed it and I did not even open it for like another 2 years
Yep.
before I was like, no, I really want to make videos. I'm going to sit down and just brute force this and like learn. And it's such a rewarding thing to do for sure.
Yeah, it just takes so much actual energy, like critical thinking. Learning a new program is insane. I remember I've always kind of been musically inclined. I think originally when I graduated, I wanted to kind of get into music and like produce my own music, sort of, because I would use
Mm.
these, like, I use this mobile app called like Music Studio, and I got pretty proficient at that, but it was very bare boned. It was definitely more expansive than something like GarageBand or anything, but I remember getting like Ableton Live, and I was like, "Oh, this is like a full on like studio experience on the computer." And Jesus, man, you get into it, it's just like, what the, like, learning it is just insane. And yeah, it's so hard to just sit down, brute force. It just takes so much thinking and energy and just constant repetition and practice to like get good. So,
It always feels so good when you make progress.
oh
But
yeah.
what was it that got you into content creation, by the way?
It's gonna sound really silly, but honestly, I was just really addicted to RuneScape, and I hated my job. And I was like,
Fair.
I want to find a way where I can play RuneScape. And I remember I was watching Twitch streams, and I remember just seeing Twitch streamers rise in the ranks, just coming out of nowhere, start streaming, and just build something out of it and become a full-time streamer from nothing. I'm like, holy fuck, like, these are just normal people that are just playing the game and entertaining on the side. And so I just decided to get into it, and it was a very slow process, like growing an
Yeah.
audience and everything, but very rewarding nonetheless. And but yeah, it all came from, it wasn't me like, I want to have a creative outlet to, no, it was just me kind of being depressed with my job and just wanting to do anything else
Yeah.
besides like actually working. So
Dude,
that was my
you know, at
story.
the beginning of the podcast, we were talking about like working those jobs, like
Yep.
minimum wage jobs and stuff that you
Mm-hmm.
dislike. That's one thing, and why it's so important, in my opinion, to do that thing. It's like it's better to do something than nothing at all. Because, like, for me personally, when I worked those dead end jobs, I had a similar thing where I'd watch streamers and stuff playing old school RuneScape, and I'd think to myself, man, I wish I was doing that. And if it wasn't for the fact that I was in a position doing something that I disliked, I probably wouldn't have ever taken the leap
Yep.
to like try and do that. And it's one of those, it's like as long as you're following some sort of path, like whether you're working in a factory, you're working in a Target, you're working in McDonald's, as long as you're doing something productive, you can then figure out what it is you want to do. Because, for me personally, like working those jobs, it just told me this is not what I want to do. Therefore, I need to start thinking and looking and seeing what it is I want to do. And like, yeah, that it's just life, isn't it?
It
It's
is.
like, but you have to be doing something in order to get anywhere. I don't know what the takeaway is there, something like that.
No, no, no. You have to have a sort of like a come to Jesus moment of like, I live this one life. Like, how am I going to like be fulfilled? And yeah, early 20s when I was working these jobs, and I wasn't good at school either. I was very just lazy. And but I would go to school and then I'd come back and work, go to school, come back and work, and I just felt like I was making zero progress, and I just like was so miserable. And yeah, like you just have that eventual awakening of like, holy shit, I am not happy, I'm not fulfilled here, and I need to do something. And I was in a very privileged position where like I was able, because my brother had just graduated from school, so he had an internship, on the East Coast. So I was able to fly out with him. So I didn't have to stream at home because God, that would have been so uncomfortable with my parents trying to stream to 0 people, and my parents keep like I don't know, harassing me, coming down to my room, be like, get a job. So I was able to just save up a little bit of money, fly out of home, live with my brother, and just try streaming. So many people don't have that opportunity. Like they have to keep working. I had unlimited time to just grow something. And I mean, I didn't have unlimited time. There was going to be a cutoff point where if things weren't going well, I'd have to go and find another job. But so many people have like relationships and family and like bills to pay. I was very lucky to be in a position where I was to just grow something. Because man, if I had to work 40 hours a week during all that time and try to have a relationship with somebody on top of all that, I would have given up streaming and content creation so early. I was just like, this isn't worth it. I'm streaming to one singular person like for
Yeah.
months. This is horrible.
I think sometimes you just have to take the leap of faith, man, and like, sounds like you were in a similar position to me where like I was living at home with my dad, so it was one of those where I was like, right, I'm already working a dead end job. I don't have anything to lose here. It's like if this doesn't work out, then I just go get another dead end job. It's like, but I don't have kids, I'm not in a relationship. It's just like fuck it, let's just try it and see if it works, right? It's like,
Yep.
what have I got to lose? What is there to lose? I'd rather fail at something than regret not doing it. Because you just never know then, do you?
Yeah. Amen,
And
dude.
I remember when I worked in the equivalent of Target, right, but in Tesco.
Yep.
And this was a very long time ago, back in like the 2000s when I first started making videos. I wanted to make videos because I wanted to make PKing videos because that's what people did back then. And like I remember back in the 2000s or maybe 2010s, YouTube emailed me and they were like, "Hey, we want to give you like monetization on your channel." And I just ignored it because I didn't want to have to use like non-copyrighted music. I wanted to use like Breaking Benjamin and like all the
Yeah.
badass music. So it was one of those. And I remember years later, because I stopped making the videos and when I was working the jobs, one of my friends came up to me who worked at the place too, and he's like, dude, are you watching like Boaty on old school RuneScape? Are you seeing his channel explode? And I'm like, yeah, man, it's crazy. And I remember he said to me, he was like, imagine if you continued making videos all of that time. And that night I went home and I recorded my very first commentary. Like first one ever. And I was like, right, I'm just doing it. I'm just fucking doing it.
Hell yeah, man. It's like that's what it's all about. It's like that little inspiration to just recognize, just do something, like make something. And it's never, I feel like things never happen overnight. It's just same thing with like this podcast. It's just very, very slow growing, just similar to yours. I mean, you're just having a conversation with somebody. You just want to talk about the game, and then it sort of becomes something. And your YouTube, especially, I mean, you've just put in the time. You've done it so much, and the consistency has paid off. And that, I think, is just speaks volumes to like just do something and then do it for years, and then you'll see, you know, year after year, like, thank goodness I have put so much time and energy into what I've wanted to do, and look at like the growth from it all. It's so fulfilling.
Always, man. And there's always like new things to learn as well, because people talk about, like there being like a compounding effect, which is something up until recently that I'd never fully grasped until I uploaded, like, so I worked for years on like a series where I'm making one bill from nothing and then making max cash with a twisted bow and so forth. And it was one of those like concepts where people are like, oh, if you keep chipping away at the same thing, eventually like there will be compounding and like you'll be rewarded for what you've done. And I just never understood that until I uploaded my long form videos, which are like, some of them are like 10 hours long. And that is where I had the moment of like, oh my God, this is the compounding effects that people talk about when it comes to like working really hard at something. Because those videos, they got like 1 million views and they're like 10 hours long. Now, like, I don't know about like if you've had any like big videos that have had like that kind of like success and views, but when you have a video that is that long getting that many views, like YouTube just fucking spoil you with like
Dude,
the CPM. It's
I'm
insane.
I'm looking at your channel, most popular, and yeah, like you have one that's 9 hours, 16 minutes, 1.2 million views. What is
It's insane.
here's the and it's brilliant because it's like to fall asleep to. So people put it on, and I can't imagine the watch time. What do you know the average watch time on that? Like by
Let me have a
memory?
look.
Yeah, you might have to take a
I'll
little
open
look.
it now. I'll take a look.
Yeah, that's insane. That's a perfect title for something so long, to milk the most amount of just average watch time.
So watch time on it. Do you want the total watch time?
Sure, but I guess the average would compute better with me, because I do have long form podcasts that have gone upwards of 6 hours, and I love seeing that average watch time. It'll just make a little bit more sense to me. But you can also tell me just how many total hours it is. It's probably insane.
So the average view duration is 47 minutes 22 seconds.
Okay.
Not bad, but it is a 9-hour video, so and then the total watch time is 957,000 hours.
Almost 1 million hours watched. Because I was thinking for a moment that actually sounds very just kind of in the ballpark of normal. I was thinking if it is somewhere like 3 hours, this is going to be insane, because it's going to be something like 3 million hours watched or something.
That'd be mad.
No, I mean,
but
yeah, like though YouTube, those long form, like if you're pushing upwards of an hour average watch time, yeah, the CPM just shoots, or the RPM, I should say, just shoots up.
Yeah. And that was like the first time with doing old school RuneScape content creation where I was like, okay, that right there is the compounding effect. It's like you work for years on a series or something like that. You then combined it into like a marathon or a movie or whatever. And it's like, and then all of those years of work just kind of like solidify. And it's definitely something that I feel like pretty much every RuneScape content creator should look at, is making like these long form videos, because YouTube loves to push them. It's a way to like recycle your own content. So it's like you're not having to really do any more work, but you're also like reaping the benefits of your previous work. And like that for me has genuinely been like a career saver. I'm not gonna lie, like those videos getting that many views, like honestly, like as a long-term content creator doing it this long, that is one of the reasons I've been able to do it for this long. And I only uploaded those the first ones like 3 or 4 years ago, but it's so nice. And in your case as well, because you're talking about, I mean, in some cases you're talking about specific events, right?
Mm-hmm.
I imagine those can like become popular again. And like, I don't know, have you ever had that where you've had like an old video that is just randomly popped off?
Dude, it was 2023. 2023, for some reason, I think it was YouTube's real push into podcasting. In fact, they made a playlist setting to make it so you could just set it to a podcast. And I think that all happened around like 2022, 2023-ish. And they saw that my show was a podcast and they're like, we want to dominate the podcasting scene. I think that's kind of what was happening internally. So the Sae Bae cast, I think the most amount of views I had on an episode at one point was like the Maud Sween episode. Randomly in 2023, that episode just started shooting up, and now it has 240,000 views from nothing. The episode had already been out for 2 years, and then it just randomly shot up to 240K. And then because of that, there was like this like cascading effect of like all of my episodes were randomly getting pushed by YouTube.
But now your channel's awesome. Like the fact that you're able to upload so consistently, like, man, like, because my videos are mostly progression videos. I'm always thinking of ways of like, how do I upload more content without really having to stretch my time anymore? Because a video could take, like 50, 100 hours or whatever it is. And it's like, it's difficult to make more of that because you have such a finite amount of time. But being able to just sit down for half an hour or however long and just pump out a video on a subject, like, that's something I need to try to get on that 100%.
It's very liberating where I'm at right now, where my channel, like I don't have sponsorships. I have never had sponsorships on my YouTube. And because you do have to hit a certain threshold, I don't know if you're a part of Crusader Talent, are you?
No.
Okay.
I do everything myself. I do.
Oh, nice. But I've seen sponsorships on your videos, right? So are you just doing that through like another agent, or just completely just personally, like you with a business?
So I work with like different agencies, and then sometimes I'll get contacted or contact brands directly and then just try to work out deals. I've kind of found personally for myself that I've had a lot more success doing it all myself. And for some people it doesn't really work like that, especially if you're like super busy, you don't have much time to be able to, send emails and do invoices and contracts and stuff like that. But for me personally, I've always just found, and I have been with agencies, but I've just always found that like nobody's going to look after your best interest more than yourself, right?
Yep.
So effectively, it's just always worked better for me. And like I always have agencies that try to they try to get you to go just with them. I've had that so many times. And I always say to them, like, I'm happy to do a trial period to like test it out, see how many sponsors you can bring to the table. But I don't know if it's like a viewer thing. I don't know what it is. I assume that it's due to a lack of views where they can't consistently bring as many as I would need. So
Yeah.
for me personally, it works a lot better to just work with various different people and then just be like, okay, I've got 4 videos this month. Do you have a sponsor I can do? And then one agency would be like, yeah, we do. And another agency would be like, yeah, we do too. And then it's like, instead of just being cornered by one and only getting the one video sponsored, I can get 2. Um, Another thing that's been like really big for me, something that possibly you should look into as well, is doing like some sort of merch. Like I sell mouse mats, which has been super, super nice. Like it just feels great because not only does like the viewer get something in return that is really specific, cool. Like I work with my artist and we work really close together on the designs and like try to get something badass made. Like we always go, speaking about the sprites, we always go for like pixel art. I've got a thing for pixels, man. I don't know. It's the tism or something. I don't know. So like that's been amazing because whenever I've not had a sponsor, I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna plug the merch store. And like people love the mouse mats. Like people need it. And it's like if there's a design that they really like I've had the best feedback and I'm so grateful to everybody that's bought anything from my store. But yeah, if you're struggling to get sponsors, I'd say definitely try reaching out to companies yourself and then also potentially look into doing like merch.
I wanted to ask you, you published a couple maybe like 2 or 3 videos of you just on like a nature walk talking about the game.
Yeah.
Like, did you have any, I mean, it seemed like you were kind of popping off with those. I don't know if you were just experimenting at the time, or
I was definitely experimenting at the time. So it was around the time I was finishing up my last long form series, and I pretty much was camping for Sonny's Nightmare to finish. And as we know, for Sonny's Nightmare can take, God, like it could take a month to get a drop, or you might just end up getting the low value ones. So basically, I think that was was it December? It was around the winter last year, I believe. And I just didn't have any content planned for like the entire month. And it was around the time that like there was a bunch of questionable things that came out. I think there was a survey that came out about like what was it, paid account security and some stuff like that. And I was so eager to like upload videos, and I'm just like, do you know what? I'm just gonna go out. And I do this walk all the time. I was like, I'm just gonna go out and just record my faults and just see if anybody'd be interested in watching it. And like, yeah, those videos have done surprisingly well. It's one of those ones where like I would love to do more of that content, and I think I might. It's just like having something to be able to speak about that's on my mind and that is RuneScape related. But then it's one of those because I make progression videos on old school, but there's also like other things that are going on in my life, like whether it's, I don't know, financial stuff, or if it's like investing things, and like there's always a topic to talk about. It's just whether or not my audience would be interested in me talking about it when it's very niche and it's like, this is a RuneScape channel. But yeah, I should bring those back because they were really fun to do, like walking, talking, and
Yeah.
and that's the kind of content I feel like I could upload in between my usual videos. And it's just like, well, it's a bonus video. If you want it, you want it. But like you said, it does depend, because if the videos are getting like half the views I usually get, because I do get sponsors and that is like a considerable amount of like revenue, you can also like lose that because of
Yep.
them. And that's where like you as a content creator, man, like in some ways I envy it, because it's like you have so much freedom to just do whatever you want. But then at the same time, I also have that. And that's kind of the reason why I made the merch store and we kind of went down that path, was because I wanted more freedom to be able to just like say, fuck it, I'm just going to upload whatever I want to, regardless of the views, and not have to worry about it. Whereas, like, if you are depending on that sponsor money, like, they've kind of got you by the balls a little
It gets
bit,
risky.
because
Yep.
yeah, because if you get video, like if you consistently get 50,000 views of the video, but then you occasionally get a video that gets like 10K views, they know about it, man. Like they're gonna look at that and be like, well, are we gonna get the 50K views or are we gonna get the 10K views? And then like immediately you kind of, I mean, I do the negotiating myself, so then you're immediately in a position where it's like, okay, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Like how do we get over this hurdle? But yeah, I definitely should make some more videos like that. I really enjoyed them, and it's very refreshing being able to just spend like half an hour on a walk talking to a camera instead of having to spend an entire week grinding something to get the same result. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Really, really appreciate your time today. This has been fucking awesome. I'd love to have a sort of like round two, maybe in a year from now, after sailing's been in the game for a good chunk, and we can talk about everything that's happening then. And probably Raids 4 will be out at that point. We can talk about that. But
Yeah,
thank you so
absolutely,
much
man.
for
I'd
your
love
time, man.
No problem at all. No problem. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Hell yeah. Raikesy's links are down below in the description. Be sure to follow him. Check out his hardcore series. Might be doing something special for sailing. We'll see. I'm not gonna push that on him, but definitely check out his channel. And he has been streaming consistently as well. So I'll have all his links. Peace.